Okay, so I think it's time to check back in with Cortex Cloud and look at some presets. So last time we did this, we looked at all the presets by popularity. And one of the things that's going to do is it's going to kind of bias towards the older presets because they have more downloads just because they've been around longer. So what I thought we'd do is still sort by popularity, but kind of look at some of the newer presets and see if there's anything different. Again, what I'm looking for is, one, are there any presets that just sound really good? Two, are there any kind of captures built into these presets that are worth checking out? And I guess third, are the folks that are creating the presets doing anything different or unusual that's kind of using the quad cortex in a way that we've not seen before? I have to say, this different stat, I just feel like I'm going to grab that one just because interesting name. I want to see what it is. But let's go ahead and we're sort by popularity guitar. We're just going to look in the past month and see what we got. So there's going to be a lot from this OmniDepend account. I don't know a lot about it. It looks like it might be some high gain stuff, not my typical thing, but we'll go ahead and we'll grab one of theirs, check it out. We'll check out this Soldano one. What else have we got? We got Amalgam. Yeah, we'll check out their captures. Let's try this one. Friedman, how many is that? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check out this is some captures. We'll try that out. Yeah, we'll see what this one's doing. Try that one. We've already done that one. This one looks interesting. We'll see what that's like. This is one of my new ones. I'll do a video on this pretty soon as well. So let's go ahead, and I think we've got a good amount of them. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull these into our quad cortex. Okay, so here's our downloads folder. We can see all of our presets. We're just going to highlight them all. We're going to put them in. We'll stick them up here. All right, let's go ahead and head over there and we'll check them out. Okay, so we got the first one up here. It is different stat. Let's see how it's set up. All right, so it's set up in scene mode, which I always like. Channel 3 heavy. So what amps is he using? He's got a Lone Star Clean, always one of my favorites. Lone Star Drive and EV. Nice. He's playing it through a 2x12 V30 Mesa Boogie. I always like that. Got a little bit of EQ on the back end. Looks like he's pulling down some low frequencies, pushing some 1150. Pushing a little bit of the high end too. So, and then on the front, he's got a clone. Interesting. So, it looks like he's defaulting to a heavy channel. Let's hear what it sounds like. Kind of a nice sound. Got a spring reverb on the end, which I don't use a lot. I always find myself, every time I try it, I end up going back to using either like a hall reverb or a plate. He's got a tape delay, probably for some lead tones. He's got a vibrato and a chorus. In the front, he's got a compressor. So let's try a clean tone. He's got a little more low end on the Lone Star that I would usually use. I always like to pull the bass back. And then, is anything changing? Maybe he's just turning off the delay in chorus. a nice, good, clean tone. This is kind of cool. Pretty cool. All right, so this is, he's using that clone. Channel 2 solo. So he's putting the compressor on. And then there's this channel 3 solo. So, some good tones in here. Let's go ahead and move on. So it looks like they got a gain on the back here. Let's pull it back the gain. Leave that off for now. Let's see what we got. So here's a, we'll start with the clean. So here's a clean amp. We'll turn on their reverb. If you're not familiar with the Amalgam naming conventions, you'll see it's obviously the amp model. So this is the Soldano SLO-100 CL. Usually that's, I think that goes with the amp model. I'm not sure what the CL stands for. Clean is the setting. So you see clean, edge, crunch. And then balanced is kind of the EQ. So balanced is just what it sounds like, balanced. This is bright. PED is usually meant for putting pedals. That means they've set it up as a pedal platform. So let's go ahead and check out. This is an edge pedal. So here, let's try. Let's get rid of this. Let's put an overdrive in front of it. What should we do? What should we do? Let's do the OD1. So yeah, I think it does pretty well with overdrives. Now let's go ahead and switch to this other edge. Nice. That's a nice edge of breakup kind of tone. Let's try a crunch. music breakup. And overall, these are some nice sounding captures. Let's see here. So yeah, as usual, these amalgam captures are really well done. Cannibal Corpse Rev 1. Wow. Scenes. I don't know if there's a different scene setup. Doesn't look like he's moving around much. Looks like it's just whether you want the Interesting. So he's got 3 lines going here. We got that. The Bagna. Interesting. So he's running 4 amps in parallel, it looks like. Nice, thick, heavy, very clear tone that, you got the tube screamer on the front kind of really tightening up the sound. Interesting. He's got some gates on the front. Doesn't look like he has a gate on the input, so I think you could save yourself a little bit of CPU by putting the gate on the input block. But overall, just a really nice straight ahead, very thick and a crunch tone. Not necessarily something I would use a lot, but if you're looking for this kind of thing, I think it works pretty well. All right, let's move on. So Soldano SLO-100. Let's see, we got scenes. Yeah, we got 3 scenes. We got a clean. Not sure I would call that clean. It's a nice tone, but yeah, I don't know. There's only so much clean you can get from a Soldano 100 lead. Drive, it's turning on a tube screamer, and solo. Let's look at what we got here. He's turning on a fuzz. And it looks like it's kind of interesting. So, all right, let's go through the preset. So we got a wah on the front end. we got MX Vibe, and then he's got the fuzz. He's got a tube screamer. He's got the Soldano into a 4x12 Marshall. On the back end, you've got a room reverb, really light mix. He's got an EQ, a little high cut, parametric EQ where he's pushing up some frequencies in the 1,000 range. You've got tremolo on the back end into a plate reverb. And then he's got utility gain on the back end just to raise it up. So if you look at the flow, he's doing a split here, pushing most of the level to A, a little bit to B, and the mix coming out, he's keeping it even. It's not panning it or anything. But so that one split, all he's got is a delay. So, you know, if you turn this on, he's turning on the fuzz, and he's throwing a clean signal, like a direct signal, along like a parallel path. So, like if we were to kind of mute the A, we're just getting a delay that has no amp on it at all. This is 1.6, I believe it was. Oops. So that's kind of interesting. So he's doing a delay, the mix is pretty high, of a direct signal and mixing it with the fuzz and amp tone. Kind of interesting. So, I mean, that's something new that I've not seen before. Kind of delaying a DI signal to mix. I guess if you're mixing with the fuzz, it might give you some kind of clarity to that delay. Interesting. All right, let's move on. SC20 Brit. So we got a lot of pedals on here. Are there scenes? There's no scenes. So, So we're missing this capture. See what it sounds like. So what do we got here? So we've got two lines. There's an input 1 and input 2. So I'm not using input 2 right now. So input 1, we've got MXR6 capture going into a Chief OD1, Tube Screamer, an SC20 capture. We've got a graphic EQ, just kind of boosting some of the frequencies. Analog delay into an ambience reverb. So just kind of a nice Marshall with Tube Screamer in front of it. Try the OD1. Interesting. These are nice sounds, but quite sure what the intent was. Am I supposed to stack all these? it's hard to tell, without any scenes, it's hard to tell how it's intended to be used. So let's go ahead and move on. CICADA KSR. All right, so I'm not getting any tones. Probably he's got a volume pedal on this. You can see he's got a volume here. So we're just gonna turn that off. So he's got a KSR Gemini green, red, white lead, purple lead. I'm not familiar with the KSR Gemini. The levels on this is pretty low. I'm going to boost this a little bit so we can hear it a little bit more. So we can see he's got a pitch shifter into a wah, and then he's got a split with one side having 1 amp and a chorus, and the other one doing clon and EQ, where he's really pulling back the lows. You've got the utility gate, red crunch, and the 3 amps. And they all have their speakers built in. And then the mix, he's got beat off, but he's got that set to scene specific. So as we move around, yeah, you can see that's moving around. So the clean is, you're only getting the one path. If you go to the crunches, it's adding in the second path. So we've got parametric EQ here. And he's pulling back a lot of frequencies. And then he's got a digital delay into a plate reverb. So let's hear what some of these sound like. Let's try the crunch. So he's turning, so he's turning that amp off. It's interesting, he's running these in parallel, but he's turning it off. Now he's at the level. So on the crunch channels, he's mixing it back. He's turning off the levels to the different sides. It's an interesting way to do it. So, I mean, this is an interesting approach to how he's doing this. You're splitting it, and he's got this path for kind of his crunchier tones. And then he's got, what he's doing is, on the scenes that he's clean, that he just wants his first path, he's basically pulling back the level on the crunch path, and vice versa on the clean path. So typically I would do this more in series. If you're not using them together, there's no reason to break into parallel paths. You know, the way that I would have rebuilt this is I would go here, instead here I would send this down to row 3, and then here I would send this to multi-outs. Everything would still work, you know, as you intended. I think, you know, maybe the only downside to this is I have read before that when you add in the lines 3 and 4, sometimes it can have a slight impact on the overall latency of the signal. But it's just so minuscule that I think trying to cram everything in rows 1 and 2, I think overcomplicates it. So let's go ahead and move on. This is interesting. Interesting. So what do we got here? We've got N1 going into all 4 lines. One line does not have a pitch shifter. The other ones have a mini voicer. We're in the root of A. We're in minor mode. And we've got one doing a 5th, an 8th, and a 3rd. Interesting. And then are they moving around as you move? They're not scene specific. So the pitches aren't shifting around. Interesting. All right, so we're doing that. Let's go ahead and get this down. We're then going into compressors. We've got a gate into a JCM 800 capture into 4x12 cab. A couple of these have an EQ on them. Just kind of drop in the low and high end. You've got a dream chorus, ping pong delay, and a shimmer reverb. And this one's a mind hall reverb. Interesting. What I'm wondering is what things along here are scene specific? What's changing? I don't know that anything looks to be scene specific. It sounds cool. I'm not sure what the different scenes are supposed to be. Interesting. And then we've got our Ed Friedman DI. We've got a missing impulse response here. Let's go ahead. I'll just fill it in with, I got a Marshall here somewhere. There we go. We'll just do that. All right, so I'm not getting any sound, so there's a volume somewhere. There's utility volume hooked into an expression pedal. We'll turn that off so we can hear it. So you can see he's got input 1 coming in, doing a bunch of stuff, all going to row 3 and going to multi-out. And then he's got something coming in through input 2, looks like for an acoustic thing. So we won't use this right now, but it looks like he's doing kind of an acoustic path for another guitar if he's using that. So we'll ignore that for now. So we've got a wah, an octo compressor, a pitch shifter. You got a tube screamer. You've got this Ed MS Singer. I think I actually, this was one of the pedals that I did in my previous video. For amps, you've got a Plexi, Friedman, another Friedman, all DI, an acoustic amp. They're all going through an IR. And then we've got our volume pedal. And then down here, you've got a gain, parametric EQ. Looks like he's just rolling off some low end. Tremolo, dual chorus, digital delay, less reverb into a room reverb. He's using two of those. And then he's got a Looper X. I wonder if this is meant to be in hybrid mode, but all right, so our BE, this is our kind of Friedman rhythm. But the Plexi. He's got a really kind of low amount of gain on that. So what is Classy doing? I was turning on, he's got both reverbs on here. And I think the chorus, yeah. Sexy. What is that? So he's two screamer into the Plexi. Nice. HPE. So what's the lead? I expect him to be using the HPE for lead, but he's using the BE with the tube screamer in front of it. He's using the EQ. He's got his delay into the reverb. Interesting. So he's pushing the volume. I think he's doing that here. Yeah. So he's using that utility gain as a volume boost. It's a nice lead. I like it. So some good captures here. I think if you're looking for some captures like this, I think they sound pretty good. We don't even know this is exactly how this preset sounds because I had to swap out the IR. So we might want to swap in our own. This sounds pretty cool. Those are some nice captures. And that was the end. All right, so an interesting batch here. So I think some nice kind of gainy tones on this Friedman DI one. Some good captures. I like that they're DI captures, so we can put in our own IR, our own cabs. You've got this, which feels to me like it's not necessarily complete yet. Like maybe you want to go in and shift the different pitches to do these different chords that they're calling out in the scenes. This one, trying to remember what, oh, this is the one that we kind of redid the flow of before, where we moved everything down to row 3. The Soldano, this is a good sounding Soldano one. We've got our super heavy one here. Man, that's nice and thick. Something fun to play with. We've got the Amalgam captures. As usual, they sound really good. And then this different Dads one, which has some cool stuff. So overall, a good batch. I mean, some people upload presets expecting for other people to grab them and use. Some people, the presets aren't built for, other people. They're just theirs, and sometimes you might not know exactly how they're being used. Oftentimes, like we've hit here, where there's a volume pedal attached to it, expression pedal, that kind of thing. It's always interesting to go through them and kind of see what people are doing, and look at like, oh, that's a cool idea, or oh, they should have done that differently. There's always interesting kind of process to go through. So hopefully you found this interesting and maybe learned a couple things. I always learn a couple things whenever I go through these presets, even if sometimes it's well, that's not the way to do that kind of thing. And it makes you think differently about how to approach some of these presets. So always a useful exercise to go through, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.